In fact, Lebanon was able to survive 40 years of wars and unrest because of the collapse of the government. Because when the government collapses, you have more liberties, de facto more liberties. And in my historical evaluation of what we have been through in Lebanon, the greatest resistance Lebanon was able to put to the attempts to break it in pieces or to absorb it, as Syria tried many times. It is the culture of liberties that allowed businessmen to invest, universities to open. Throughout the period of the war, new universities opened, new schools opened, new hospitals opened. The Lebanese resisted by keeping the will of initiating in their country, traveling abroad and coming back and reinvesting in their countries. And when it comes to a vision for the future, I think the vision should not be separated from the vision of what the Arab Spring shall bring to this area and to international peace and order. The Arab Spring could legitimize itself. It's legitimate today because it's a demand of change from a status of abusive dictatorship everywhere and corrupt dictatorship. And as we all have learned, absolute power corrupts absolutely. But that legitimate the act of revolt to bring about change. But what change become the worry or the question in the mind of every observer. And in my opinion, the Arab Spring should be about values of liberties, values of human rights. Whoever is the carrier of the flag of leadership the day after, if it is an Islamic party, if it needs to be legitimized an Islamic party, the first thing he needs to do is to respect the separation of state and religion, to respect the acceptance of the other, to respect the principle of the liberty of every individual to believe in whatever he wants to believe in or not to believe. And there is nothing wrong with that principle if you are a Muslim party leading, because all what he has to do is to go back to his Quran, where his God tells him, you cannot impose religion. There is no imposition in Islam. Well, in fact, the Roman Empire, when it adopted Christianity, it imposed Christianity to the pagan world. When Islam came 7 centuries later, the principle of the Quran, carrying God's will according to the Quran, is la ikraha fil Islam. No, you cannot impose Islam. You can believe in whatever you wish to believe in, or choose not to believe even in God. That means you have in the Quran and in Islam every fundamental principle that is acceptable to have your party and your governors, a good governance, acceptable with the highest standard we have today in the first world, where democracy is evolving every day in one direction or another. When it comes to economics, the same principle applies. Islam is not theologically neither communist nor socialist. Islam is about free enterprise. And there is in Islam every principle that can complement and be part of the thinking of the Mount Pelerin Society, of Frederick Hayek and the Road to Serfdom writing, or Milton Friedman, or Chicago School of Economics. Islam is not a Marxist socialist thing. It is everything but not that. If the Arab Spring is bringing Muslim parties to some countries, these Muslim parties, they need to have a vision also of economical liberty and pro entrepreneurs, giving every individual and every small company the chance to make it big, to create wealth. Governments don't create wealth. Governments often are a problem, not a solution. And if you are in the third world, the level of corruption become bigger. The government is regulating more. It means you have more people to corrupt. And the tools of corruptions are laws and regulations more than controllers of who applies laws and regulations. This is why I am not for copying Western regulations, because that copying thing, which is normal when you look up at countries that are rich and that are successful, but they have a different history, and they are looking, in fact, to find a solution to their own problems. Also, the problems of the rich are different from problems of the poor. If you are rich, you can be more capable of redistribution. But if you are poor, you are redistributing what? You need first to make it rich and then to redistribute. If you are poor, you need to encourage the poor to make it each one in each corner with its own imagination, and only to support him, but not to subsidize him. Subsidies have never been a solution, neither for industries nor for agricultural business, because subsidies become again a corrupt system. When you subsidize, you choose whom to subsidize to. Whatever you choose, you are deciding what has a chance to be successful or who should fail. And who is choosing? On what basis is choosing? Who is that God that knows everything about anything and sitting in his office worrying about his next election or about his next promotion if he is an employee of government, to decide who should be subsidized and who should not be subsidized? Or few group of members of parliament who have only learned how to win an election or to get part of a party. Who are they to decide? Let the reality of success and failure make the difference. And we know in business that you are a better businessman when you have failed once and twice and three times and learned from your failure. In fact, success at the beginning can ruin you later, because many people have been successful at the beginning, making success after success. Then they make the big bet, and the big bet can be their big failure. And we have seen that in every bubble crisis, if it is in the real estate business globally, or if it is in the financial industry business. Then you see there is no limit to your creativity. When Alan Greenspan in 1998, goes desperately, after having talked around in his private relation, to go desperately public in the Senate and speaks about irrational exuberance. Nobody listens to him. The high tech market went up, telling him, you know what, you don't understand anything. We understand. Then you have, in fact, the bull moving, seeing red, and moving into its death. But that means what? That means it's simple. There is nothing that can be decided to stop a bull to go into a wall or to go into a cliff. But by the end, every mistake made by the crowd can only be corrected by the crowd becoming more careful next time. But what makes the decisions that make the success story are individuals. You know, I had the opportunity to be 25% shareholder of Microsoft with $3 million. I was, you know, in one of my business, having a subcontractor from California, from whom Bill Gates was working part-time and working in his garage part-time. Our subcontractor come to me and asked me for $3 million in exchange of 25% of the startup. I did not understand what programming at that time was. I asked the question, is it another computer like the Apple computer, which was a success story at the time? They said, no, these are programs. I asked the question, would they, that can be copied, you know, with our Lebanese mentality, everyone copy everyone, that can be copied. He said, yes, sure, everything can be copied. I did not realize what a startup like Microsoft could be. But I was at the time doing the University of Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. I was far from LA. But do you realize how many others, bankers or investors or businessmen in LA or in Washington or in New York or in Chicago, who missed probably that opportunity that has been offered at that time to me? You see, individuals, through their mistakes and through their genius, through their stubbornness and their creativity, can make and break. But by the end, it is that spirit of trying to reach the sky, wrong or right, that make the economy successful, that make the world successful. Not dictatorship, neither dictatorship of a little dictator with dark glasses, nor dictatorship of a parliamentary crowd who understand nothing about economics. And when there are among them someone who understands economics because they say it white, the other would say it black. Politicians worry first about their politics, and their politics are taken in consideration first, the consensual thinking. And consensual thinking is never the thinking that leads. It is the thinking that follows.